How were uncertified and unapproved springs inserted into the bodies of children during major spinal surgery in Ireland? Well, that's the question people have been asking themselves since details emerged about the scandal over the last 18 months. 11-year-old Nelly is one child whose life expectancy has been shortened after being operated on at Temple Street. Last week, the High Court approved a settlement in her case and she received an apology from Children's Health Ireland. Well, after the initial surgery, Nelly had to have 14 further procedures, including a revision of her surgery just 5 days later. It was discovered the rod and spring system had shattered her pelvis, leaving her in excruciating pain. Well, yesterday I went to the Lannans' home in Dublin to speak exclusively with Nelly's parents, Stephen and Briggy, and I began by asking them to tell me a little about their beautiful daughter.
So when she was born, she was fine, and she was kicking her legs up in the air. She looked totally normal. And probably at about 6 months, we went on holidays with some friends, and their kids were, crazy as kids are. And Nelly was just not moving that much.
We got to Temple Street Hospital where we met the neurologist, and he straight away kind of diagnosed her that she has SMA type 1. And that time there was no treatment for SMA patients.
What is SMA type 1?
They're missing like a protein in their body. So the signal from their brain down to their muscles doesn't happen. It gets progressively worse from when you're born, and most kids die by the age of 2, thereabouts, because their muscles get so weak that they basically can't breathe. Nelly lost her swallow at about 6 months old. So it was a dark time. We had no hope at that time. She wasn't on any drugs, and we were constantly trying to see if we could get her on the Spinraza or nusinersen drug. And by the time she got on that, then she was already very sick.
We saw instantly when she started the treatment, the nusinersen, that she was already getting better respiratory-wise. She was very good. But then as she started growing, the spine and the back and the overall issue started with her back. But she's just a very positive, very happy child, I have to say. And since she has her little sister, I think her life is very happy.
Yeah.
She's very happy.
Yeah.
Tell me about how the first major surgery came about and if you knew that it was going to be risky.
They had told us, look, she's going to get kyphosis, scoliosis, one of those. We're going to have to do a surgery. So coming up to about her 5th birthday, we started talking to Temple Street about possible surgery options. But we were kind of led to believe that Nelly was the eldest SMA type 1 in the country. We'd never had one that got to this age. So it was very much now we're in experimental territory. We don't know how to deal with this. She had pretty severe kyphosis by the time they started operating on her.
What is kyphosis?
Kyphosis is the back. It's like your back is getting pulled down by your head, basically. And Nelly's back, basically, now is like that. And the problem with that for her long-term health is that the kyphosis worsens to such a degree that the spine comes down on the lungs and then stops her her chest from being able to open and breathe.
How old was Nelly when she got this big surgery?
About 5.5, yeah.
And did they tell you when they were doing the surgery what they were going to do?
Well, we knew it from the very beginning that this will be like a kind of a new thing that they put in that spring system, and the spring will be helping her as she grows.
Spring-loaded rods that they put onto, they put them on both sides of the child's spine, basically on their shoulders down to their pelvis on the back, and like they hook onto the pelvis, and then that opens up her spine and keeps it open as she grows, basically, and the spring just slowly opens up. That was the theory, I guess. Yeah.
When did you realise that this was not successful?
Before the surgery, they told us that her bones are like butter. So they put these 2 spring-loaded rods in, and these rods immediately put loads of pressure on her bones. And one of the rods went straight through her pelvis. It took them about 6 days to go back in and fix it. He said it looks like she's been in a car accident or her pelvis has been smashed. Like, if someone's pelvis gets smashed in a car accident, is it not emergency surgery? I think it is, because someone's in a massive amount of pain. So I was always like, why did they leave her for 5 days? She was on morphine. And he put plates in her pelvis. And he unloaded the spring on that rod. I don't know if he unloaded the spring on the other rod, but he left the 2 rods in, I think, at that point. But after, a few months then, there was a rod coming out the top of her back on the left side.
The whole rod was just so big and she was just so tiny. And they even said, like, her skin and her tissues or everything is just so thin on her body.
And we were constantly in the hospital for those 2 years. And, she would have like huge bandages on her back, and there'd be like bits of, you could see obviously seeping wounds, which is probably normal enough for such major surgeries, but she'd had so many of them, and then she was constantly infected.
Like, we are not experts on spinal surgeries. We are not doctors. We just trusted him to say that this is what's going to happen. And that's why we kept going back. And we didn't think that would be something that she will end up with 14 surgeries. We always trusted him.
All those surgeries to try to correct the original surgery.
Yeah, constantly trying to correct, or trying to fix what was going on, I suppose.
When did you realise from CHI that they were very worried about what happened?
Well, thinking of it now, I think there was always signs that, at the first few surgery, they said there's always complications with these things. But when it goes on and you're at number 6, 7, 8 surgery, it's like, is it still normal to have this many surgeries?
You then discovered, didn't you, from a doctor in London in Great Ormond Street, that this operation probably should never have been done in the first place.
It was like a eureka moment for, everything that's happened to this point has been absolute kind of, almost nonsense. He just said, all these children, we just wait until they're 8 and we just do one major fusion surgery, which is a very big surgery for these kids because they're very vulnerable as it is, and it's a big insult to the body is how they say it. But he said we just fuse them and then we try and go in, do that once, and maybe 1 or 2 more clean-up surgeries, and then that'll be it basically.
So it was definitely eye-opening to hear from another doctor that he would have done it completely different. Luckily, we still have her, and hopefully we will still have her for a long time. But we lost so much time trying to fix first surgery, second surgery, try this, try that. It was just like basically she was just a guinea pig for all this.
So last May, Nelly went over to Great Ormond Street for a month to try to get the correct surgery. She would have been 10 at that stage, but they just felt that she wasn't up to the surgery and she would end up on either a full-time ventilator, so on a tracheostomy, full-time, which just makes her quality of life far worse, or that she wouldn't make it through the surgery, or she wouldn't live very long after the surgery. So we've had 2 or 3 opinions now that she's not able to have that surgery now. So, I think that's just where we are, unfortunately.
The settlement itself, will that just help Nelly's life, help you mind her?
A large portion of the settlement will just go to extra carers in the house. We do have good coverage from the HSE, who help a lot with families like ours, which we're very appreciative of, but it doesn't cover the whole day. There's a pretty big burden on me and Briggy always to watch her. Nelly can't swallow, so she's a choking risk. So you can't take your eye off her for a second. So she needs 24-hour nursing care.
It's just very hard to believe that this is it. Like she's too vulnerable for a full spinal fusion, and the only thing they recommended us to have a good support of seat system and for her to continue physiotherapy.
You remain hopeful, don't you?
Yes. And there's so many innovative things come out in the medical world that I'm really hoping that one day someone will just look up Nelly or spinal muscular atrophy type 1, kyphosis, and they just say, I have a solution for that.
We're not obviously going to go down the road of further experimental surgery, but, if there was something that was tried and tested, absolutely, that wasn't as invasive as a full-on fusion, I think that would be something that we could, consider or look at.
It's tough having a child with a serious issue like Nelly has. How are you both doing?
We could get tired. That's
Exhausted from life
Yeah.
in general. But
Yeah.
when you have this diagnosis and the life expectancy that they say about Nelly, it's always on the back of your head that you just have to nurture and love every moment with her.
Briggy and Stephen, thank you so much for
Thanks so
letting me
much.
speak
Thank
to you
you.
today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mary.
That was Stephen and Briggy Lannon. They're speaking to me yesterday about their beautiful daughter. Well, in a statement, Children's Health Ireland said, "We offer our sincere and unreserved apology to Nelly and her family for the failings in the care Nelly received while she was a patient in CHI at Temple Street. Nelly did not receive the standard of care she deserved. What happened should not have happened, and we recognise the profound impact this has had on Nelly and on her family since October 2020. Our organisation is deeply committed to improving the experience of the children we care for, and we have learned important lessons from the failings in Nelly's care, which has helped us implement changes to strengthen our service."